The following programming is sponsored by Marc J. Bernstein. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group. Entrepreneur, founder, author, and financial advisor Marc Bernstein helps high-performing business owners turn their visions into reality. Through his innovative work and the Forward Focus Forums, Marc connects entrepreneurs to resources that fuel their success. Founders Forum is a radio show and podcast where entrepreneurs share their journeys, revealing the lessons they've learned and the stories behind their success. Join Marc and his guests for a mix of inspiration, valuable insights, and a little fun. Now, let's dive in.
Good morning, America. How are you today? This is Marc Bernstein. This is Founders Forum. We have our guest here today, Tom. Got some very interesting things going on. And I would like to start out talking about giving back and the importance, I think, of entrepreneurs giving back, because I consider ourselves lucky. I was listening to my podcast this morning with my friend Ray Lowe, and whose brand is the luckiest guy in the world, the luckiest people in the world. And we're really fortunate to have the opportunities we have in this country to build businesses and to live the lives the way we want to live them and that kind of thing. And I've talked a lot on the show about the Sattel Institute, which is an organization that specializes in corporate social responsibility of giving back. And, and they're often a sponsor on the show. I'm on the board, so I actually donate those ads because I want to promote that. And I'd like to ask Tom, and we're going to get to this, but I know you are one who gives back. So tell me why you think that's important, and then talk a little bit about how you're doing that.
Sure. Well, I think, I'm also feeling very lucky that I've been given what I've been given in my life. And most of the time my business career, I've been traveling around the world. So I haven't had a chance to really focus on my hometown that much. In the last 20 years, I have been. I've gotten to the age where I'm not traveling around so much. And I looked at Chester County, which is a wonderful area to live, but we found that there were 50 performing arts organizations that didn't have a home. And there was a pretty high percentage of people a large number of people who would love to go to a show, to see live entertainment, or to actually learn about live entertainment. And we did this research and decided we need to have a theater in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And so we got a group of people, and
there was not one there before. Is that right?
There was a movie theater back, and it was torn down in the 80s, which everyone in the town would say was one of the worst decisions that could happen. And so Westchester is booming in a lot of areas, but it's kind of dry from a entertainment standpoint.
Interesting.
And so we raised some money, and
it was, right? It's not now, right? Because you have the theater.
Now it's right. Strong. Yeah. Right. So we basically purchased the historic armory and converted it into a wonderful theater and a theater school. So now we're showing about 270 shows a year. So it's busy all the time, and it's called the Uptown Theater in Westchester.
I love the story, and I haven't been there yet. We're talking about that. We may figure out a way for me to get out there. But a couple of things that occur to me about that. One is, well, first of all, I'm going to give away a little bit of your biography, which I'm going to read in a second. But you worked for Armstrong for a long time.
Right.
And I didn't realize what a big presence Armstrong has in Lancaster, where it's based.
Yeah.
And we haven't talked about this, but I'm just in the middle of a series of podcasts in Lancaster that started partially because of the same guy, Ray Lowe, because he lives in Willow Valley.
Okay.
You talk about a place with culture, like a senior living place that has a lot of culture. It's amazing, and they're doing a lot of integration. He and another guest, Deb Brandt, who has Fig Magazine, one of the best city magazines.
Yep.
You know Fig?
I know Deb.
Oh, you know Deb. Yeah. So I met her the same way I met you.
Yeah.
Introduced her to Ray, and they're doing a lot of things together in Lancaster. So I've had several trips out there, and the culture and everything that's going on there is incredible as well. It's another place that's really, I had no idea what was going on in Lancaster until recently.
Yeah, well, back in '76 when I joined Armstrong, Lancaster was a company town,
right?
And Armstrong has been taken over by private equity people and changed, and it's not that big a presence anymore. And a lot of other companies have really stepped up, and it's a booming town now. It's really got a lot of interesting things going on.
And I will tell you, I was at the 20th anniversary of Fig, and their book Armstrong has a whole section. They're still very active in the arts there and in giving back. So even with the private equity and everything else, they're still doing that, which is pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah. Armstrong, it was a great company. I had 24 wonderful years there.
And the former CEO lives in Willow Valley.
Bill Adams.
Yeah, Bill, and he's become a friend of Ray's, and it all ties together.
Probably the best boss I ever worked for.
Wow, that's great to know. So you should go out there with me. We should visit.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to interview him one of these days. So
all right, I'll go with you on that one.
We could do that together. So great introduction into Tom McEvoy, who's CEO and founder of LumberCon LLC, and also founder and board chair of the Uptown Theater, as we've mentioned, in Westchester. And we might have time to get back to that a little bit. But after 24 years with Armstrong World Industries, as we discussed, including 7 years overseas in Hong Kong and London, Tom started a second career in the concrete industry with High Concrete, one of the leading precast concrete companies in the U.S. That introduction to concrete led him to develop LumberCon, a lightweight, this is a really interesting product, lightweight, high-strength concrete deck plank. And separately, his wife and two other friends, along with him, as we mentioned, started the Uptown Theater in Westchester. So, Tom, officially welcome to Founders Forum.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Such a great story. And I'll just a little bit of background because I'm concerned about time and getting it all in. But you're originally from New York, and your wife was from San Francisco.
Right.
Which is probably where she gets a lot of the arts and culture from, I would imagine. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And he had, as we mentioned, an extensive career in business. And actually what he did is he ran sales for North and South America for Armstrong before moving into, or was that for Armstrong or was that for the
was Armstrong before the concrete part.
Yeah, and then started moving into his entrepreneurial ventures. So tell me, why don't we talk about from when you left Armstrong? Well, let's talk about how Armstrong, the experience there set you up for what you're doing today, and then how that transition occurred.
Armstrong was like a giant family, and I still go to reunions in California, in Georgia, in Pennsylvania.
Oh, really?
For Armstrong. It's
a company sponsor those reunions?
No. It's all the employees.
Wow.
They all love Armstrong.
Wow.
So it's you talk about Bill Adams, one of his and my closest friends, just died 2 weeks ago at age 99. And
wow.
that guy's second career was became a opened a winery in California.
Oh, I love this story.
So anyway, it's a very tight knit group, very supportive of each other. But we also made great building materials. And when I was in Hong Kong, I was sort of Mr. Armstrong in Asia with the acoustical ceilings and flooring. And I really learned business with Armstrong, and from people like Bill Adams. They did so much to develop their people.
I was actually with somebody who works at Armstrong in HR there, and she told recently, the last couple of weeks, and she told me that I think Armstrong floors and ceilings are like separate companies now, right?
Yes.
They've been spun off, right? Right.
And that's why I said, they're not that big a presence because they have kind of separated it.
Right.
And the strong business really right now is the acoustical ceiling business.
That's what she said. And is that the original Armstrong? They're both private equity companies now?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah. So anyway, that set you up for success. And then what happened that led you to found LumberCon?
Well, first I got into the concrete industry. I spent 2 years trying to turn around a company in Chicago, and I was commuting back and forth from Philadelphia. And it was a company that recycled plastic and extruded it into lumber profiles. And I did it for 2 years, and it was a disaster company, and we had to do a lot of real heavy-duty turnaround stuff, and we accomplished that. But during that process, the people from High Concrete said that they're looking for a new president, and there was a chance for me not to fly to Chicago, but drive 1 hour to Denver, Pennsylvania. So I interviewed and got that job. And started learning the concrete industry, which I've just fallen in love with. One of my R&D people at the plastic lumber company came over and said, what we tried to do with plastic lumber, that's really not a great material for decking. Concrete really is the best material. And it took us about 10 years of R&D work to figure out how to make a very thin, lightweight concrete plank that would work. And
I'm curious, why did they say, without having developed that yet, that concrete was the best material?
The plastic, when we used the plastic, it was great from a recycling standpoint, but it would move.
You're talking about like Trek and things like that, right?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And our product was all recycled milk cartons, high density polyethylene. Gotcha. And when the sun hit it, it moved. If you screwed the planks into a joist, it would shear the screw. It moved so much. And also, it would sometimes it would conduct an electric shock.
Wow!
And it would heat up.
Really?
When the sun hits it, it really heated up.
Wow!
So you step on it and your feet would burn.
Wow!
Where with the concrete, it's fireproof. It's not going to heat up. It's going to be durable.
Should last forever in theory.
Last forever. Yeah. We have a boat ramp in the Chesapeake. It's been underwater for 12 years. The product is still great.
But you couldn't just use concrete because, number one, it's really heavy. Right. So that leads to what happened then.
Well, the main thing is so it's a mixture of concrete and some chemicals and some fibers and also special pre-stressed reinforcing metal, wire reinforcing, and it's so strong, it's unbelievable.
This is a product that you developed, and that took 10 years to figure that out.
It took us 10 years to develop it and then figure out how to manufacture it on a consistent basis to meet our quality standards.
But this was, I'm just a little fuzzy on, you were president of High Concrete at that point, right?
The High Concrete is when we started doing some research and development. When I left High Concrete, the High family, which if you want to do an interview with a family that gives back, the High family should be no pun intended, high on your list.
Right.
What they've done is incredible. But anyway, they weren't interested in this product, so we took this product and we continued to develop it for a few more years, and then found our own manufacturing source and off and running.
They just wanted to stay where they were in the concrete business. They still in the concrete business?
Yeah, well, they're doing like New York Giants Stadium,
right.
The Mets Stadium.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff they do.
Yeah.
They want big stuff.
Well, no, in a way, you can respect that they wanted to focus on their.
Oh yeah,
they want to stay focused on what they do best.
I couldn't argue with them.
Right.
Yeah.
So you spun it off, and this was you alone, or did you have a group of people?
A group of people. I had a former head of engineering at High Concrete is my partner, and a couple of other people, but mostly this gentleman who's the head of engineering. And so we're together. So I bring the kind of the business and sales focus, and he's brings the engineering focus, which are both important.
So when did you form LumberCon? How long ago?
About now it's about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But we really started to sell the product about 4 years ago, and we were very low key in our sales.
Basically R&D for 6 years.
Yeah, and it was still kind of out of a pilot plant, so we didn't do any marketing. It was almost word of mouth. And now that we finally have the production capacity to grow, we actually just started marketing last April.
Right. That's right before we talked for the first time, right?
Yeah.
And how's that going?
Great. Yeah.
You told me then that demand was high, right?
Yeah, nationwide, and the area actually the greatest interest is California, because people realize that with all the fires there,
right?
The fire catches the deck and it brings the fire right into the house. So people want a fireproof deck.
So sales you're selling now. You're producing product and it's out in the market.
Yep.
And So obviously the challenge. I always like to hear about challenges. We just have a minute, by the way, till break.
Okay.
Which is amazing how quickly it goes. But you, one of your challenges obviously was the R&D, getting it right. So then you did that. What other kind of challenges have you had about in terms of getting it out in the market and manufacturing and that sort of thing?
The next challenge is to get architects to understand the product.
Right.
And so we have a small sales team calling architects, introducing the product, and it's a slow process. The architect will then say, all right, I want to recommend it on a project, and then the project take 2 years before they need the material. So there's like a long pipeline, but you really need to have that close relationship with the specifier, the architect, to move the needle here.
Well, having gone through our business purchased a building and rehabbed it.
Yeah.
And it was, what I'm going to say is that, when it was post-COVID, so there were supply chain issues and things like that.
Right.
So it took 3 years almost, over 2 years from start to finish to actually get that building done. So in some cases, that's okay. And
that's normal.
From architect to being completion, right, it was well over 2 years.
Right.
So I guess that works out okay. And you mentioned architects, so I know it's for residential use, the product, but it's also a lot for commercial use.
And actually, I thought it would be mostly residential. It's 75% commercial. Pedestrian bridges and walkways and boardwalks, commercial roof decks.
But given what you said about California, I imagine the residential demand is fairly high as well, right?
Yeah, and there we have a distributor out there who can ship small quantities for residential. It would, we're shipping from near Pittsburgh is where our factory is.
Right.
So for a big commercial job, that's no problem. For a little backyard deck,
right,
you want to have a distributor.
Right, you got to have a distributor. Yeah. With that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on Founders Forum.
Establishing a self-directed Roth IRA or other self-directed retirement plan offers access to investment options usually only available to well-connected or wealthy individuals. Anyone can build wealth and achieve tax-free income for life and financial freedom without the inordinate risk of speculative investing, securities, trading exotic financial instruments, or hoping for the best from the stock market. Since their start in 2003, Camaplan has come to be synonymous with expertise, flexibility, responsiveness, and diversity in investment choices. They provide innovative investment opportunities for investors seeking direct control and more choices in how they deploy their investment capital. Camaplan doesn't just make it possible to invest in alternative assets. They also teach investors how to put their money to work. Take the road to financial freedom today. Go to camaplan.com/foundersforum.
We're back on Founders Forum. We talked all the way through the commercial because we have so much to talk about. Tom, well, let's get to, so we're talking about challenges. What kind of challenges are you facing right now? What's going on now? So getting the product out there obviously is one.
Right. The product, our challenge is, we are so new and we're competing with companies like Trex or even pressure treated lumber, and they're products that contractors are comfortable with. So even when we get the architect to specify our product, the contractor's going to say, I never worked with that before. I don't want to work with that. And so we need to get to the contractor and say, you handle this just like wood. This is easy. You can do it.
Right.
And we got to basically encourage them through the process. Once they use it, they come back and they're doing things with the product that we didn't know was possible.
Wow.
We have one guy who's now making a perimeter fence out of our product. We didn't build it for that, but it works, and it's a fireproof fence. So there's other things that can come up once you get the contractor involved.
So it's no harder to work with than wood, and maybe even easier in some cases, or about the same.
It's pretty much the same. Instead of using like a circular saw, I got to make sure it has a masonry blade.
You just change the blade.
That's it.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Interesting. So given that, I know, and you and I are about the same age, and you're a guy who I know is looking forward. You're not looking backwards.
Right.
You still got a lot in front of you. What if it's December now of 2025, if this were December 35, and
right.
you and I are having a conversation, which I hope we will be.
Right.
What would have to happen over that 10-year period for you to say, hey, that was a really successful 10 years? And that could be personally, could be the theater, it could be business, obviously.
Well, I'll talk business first.
Yep.
But, right now, if you look at the decking market, there's a company like Trex and TimberTech that have just developed a great product, and they have a huge business. I'd like to have LumberCon in that conversation too, that, this is one of the products that if you're going to be building a deck, you want this product because it's going to last forever. It's fireproof, et cetera. And so it could be considered one of the major deck players.
So Trex is like ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous.
I always have a hard time with that one. And you'd like LumberCon to be in that conversation the same way. Got it. So that's really clear. I love that.
Yeah, and from a quality standpoint, our performance beats all the other products, but the other products have a heck of a head start and have done a great job,
of course,
marketing, et cetera.
Well, as we know, it's not always the best product that wins. There's marketing and there's all the other elements, money, the capital, all those kind of things. And so that's that. Anything you would add to that from a business 10-year vision?
No, I think if you got to that point, we've now built. Then we would have had by necessity built the team where people have gotten great employment, et cetera.
Yeah, there's a lot going into that.
Yeah.
How about from personal vision or the theater?
The theater is the one I want to really focus on right now. When we opened the theater, it was like a dog chasing a car. We wanted to have that car. Once we got it, we're like, how do you drive it? And over the last 6-7 years, we've learned how to run the theater. We have right now a wonderful executive director and a very strong staff, and the board is now starting to transition from a board that did all the work to a board that's really trying to support the staff and support the mission. So nice. We're in this transition, but we're bursting at the seam, and I never thought that would happen. So in 10 years, we own property right next to the theater. In 10 years, I'd like to have a new addition to the theater that we could put on larger concerts, maybe some larger theatrical performances, and also support our school. We kind of inherited or worked with a teacher that was teaching 10, 15 kids. We brought her into Uptown. They now have a school of 850 kids.
Wow!
And we're out of space.
Wow!
So, and that's
in the theater space right now.
In the theater space, and it's my favorite part of the theater.
Nice.
And we want to be able to grow that and give them more room. And we have the property. We just need to build the building.
Gotcha.
So that's the 10-year vision there.
Maybe you can introduce some LumberCon into that building.
That's right. Kill two birds with one stone.
There you go. Right. Make it a showpiece for LumberCon.
Yeah.
Put a fence in the backyard, but decking. That's great. So, what challenges do you see in front of you for that? Because that's a big project.
Oh yeah. The main thing right now is we're about to go through another strategic planning process. We have some new board members that are bringing a lot of new ideas, and the board really needs to transition to a board that is there to help build and support the staff, and we're moving pretty well down that path, but we still have things to do to make it effective.
So you're an interesting guy because you've gone from a corporate guy to being an employed president of a company to creating two entities that are really on good paths.
Right.
What skills do you think you developed in your corporate leadership and in your leading an entrepreneurial company that you use today that are common to both, to your for-profit company and for the theater?
I think the main thing, and this really hit me in Asia, is aggressive listening. You can't. No one can know everything, and when I would go into China, and I would ask people, what they need to, what we need to do to service them better, and I would hear the answer. Then I would play the answer back to some of my colleagues, and they're like, "No, you didn't hear that right." And so, sometimes it takes a couple of iterations to really get the understanding of what you need to do to be effective.
That's a common thing amongst leaders that I have on the show listening. But I love how you use the word aggressive listening. So this is to our show notes, because we put out notes and we have a mailing list and all that for those who get that, and little video clips. So I want to make sure that they catch this aggressive listening, because it's such a great skill for leaders and such a great lesson. How do you do that? How did you develop that skill? Because it's easy to say do it, but it's not easy for everyone to do.
Well, you mentioned Armstrong and Bill Adams early on, and this is something that he really pushed, that is almost a concept that I put a name to called intelligent risk-taking. And you would talk to someone, and you wouldn't just rely on your own understanding of that conversation. You'd make sure you have 2 or 3 people that you respect, and you kind of bounce what your understanding was and have them say, no, you didn't, I want to critique that. You're not quite right. Or maybe a new idea comes out of it.
So I love that because I've never really dug into it deeply like that before. It's like, what's the technique? And I love that concept of having other people check your listening is really what you're saying before you go with it. So I've got 2 questions for you, and I'm excited to ask you the first one first because almost nobody picks this question to be asked. Yeah. What's your favorite song?
All right, it's almost a trick question. It's Brown Eyed Girl. Van Morrison.
We got to talk. So I'm known for if I get up at a wedding or wherever I go and as a singer, that's the song.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny. Yeah. And partly I do that because my wife has brown eyes. My daughter has brown eyes. So I'm
same here.
How about it?
Same here. And also I love Van Morrison.
Me too.
But it's all.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
That's great. And the last question, we just have about a minute. You're doing a lot of important things. What would you like your legacy to be? What does that look like?
I would like the legacy for people to, look at LumberCon or look at the Uptown Theater and go, hey, Tom McEvoy was a big part of that.
So in both ways, I could see how you would be leaving an impact. The theater's kind of obvious. That should go on hopefully for generations and raise lots of artists, young artists and producers and directors and all that kind of thing. How about how do you see LumberCon? I can see that too, but how do you see that from a legacy point of view?
Well, I think if you get a couple of generations down, they'll be forgetting about me. But the people that have been hired in the company would say, this is a good company, and I know the guy that started it. Kind of back to like I look at Bill Adams giving me a kind of a kickstart in the business world. He's in his I'd probably right around 90 now, but sharp as can be. And I think he knows that I know he did a lot to help me.
He's a great template too, because I'm sure you'd like to be going strong at 90 as well.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Me too. I'm looking for the same thing. We actually have a few seconds left. It always goes very quickly. So I'll throw one at you that we haven't discussed. Favorite book? What do you like to read? You've got to be a reader with a lot of the things that you do.
I like mostly history, and my hero is Churchill. But I now look at the president of Ukraine saying, "You got a lot of Churchill in you."
He's up there.
Yeah,
Zelensky, right? He's got to actually.
Yeah,
he's got.
I can't imagine what he's going through.
Yeah. So listen, I think that now we're about out of time. But thanks so much for being here today, Tom. It's been great. We have a lot more we can talk about. And thank you all for your aggressive listening of the show. I hope. And we'll see you next week on Founders Forum.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
We hope you enjoyed your time with Founders Forum and that you found value to take with you throughout your day. Join us again next week for another episode of Founders Forum on WXKB 1039 HD2.